I'm alive. Can you hear me? Am I alive? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I just took my rollers out and I could feel my hair move as I was looking like a cleaning lady with the rollers and the scarf. I think you guys can hear me. Let me see. Let me check. Let me see. You know how you act when you feel like you can feel your hair? Let me check. Oh, I have a copyright claim on my so the video that anyway I needed to do it over anyway because YouTube just did a copyright claim for the music I had in the background of the previous one. So hopefully you guys can now see me in the group because something happened and I got kicked out. And is this me? Yes. Hey y'all. Okay. So I am back. I needed to restart. I was having some internet issues and it knocked my Facebook group off. So I definitely wanted to do this follow-up convo. Hopefully my guest can join in. As a matter of fact, let me just double check and make sure that she gets this link and she can join us in this convo because yeah. Hold on, y'all. Copy the clipboard. Because I got kicked out, it might have generated a new link for her. Where is the message? Okay. 1 second. How's everybody doing? Hello, hello. Where are you from? Say your name, where you're from. Okay, I'm coming back. All right. So say a comment. Let me make sure these things are working properly on this end. Say hi if you can. Like I was saying, I was on IG earlier taking out these rollers. I did not pick the curls apart, but people asked me how I get that wavy kind of look, and it is what I just did. I will show you guys all how I do that in another time. If anyone's interested, you may not be, it's fine. But if you want to say hi, please do. Let me know you're listening. I'll go ahead and start. Say hi so I know that the sound is good and the connection is not going to get lost again. Hello from ATL. Great. Okay. So like I was saying, really quickly, let me start from where I want to start because I did a whole spiel about who I was. Oh, those who may or may not have followed me, from way back when, over 10 years ago. Like I said, I'm not a DIYer. I am actually professional who invested in training to do this service for over 13 years, hundreds of women out of Brooklyn, New York, and now the New York City, New Jersey area. So the information that I share with you is from practical skill. Hey, girl. Hey, Angelica. And what I said before the video ended last time was that when I got my hair done, it was installed 2008, January 2nd was the completion date. So how many years ago? We are talking 13 years ago. Plus, there was no YouTube. No one did DIY unless they were a trained professional. Maybe they took on that endeavor and did their own hair, or they got someone. Even the professionals were going to a professional to get their installs. So the DIY phenomenon for these small locks, especially small interwoven locks, which I term microlocs, I started terming that microlocs in 2009, was to describe that interwoven small lock alternative from the major branding that was already existing sister locks. I wanted to have another way to be innovative that was a little broader in options. Okay, so putting that to the side, the DIY phenomenon for everything has been big. Makeup, hair, especially since COVID. But what I've seen and what people have come to me with, and I mean, I have inboxes of paragraphs of, they want detailed information on how to fix, how to address, how to install. And I have to say, let's pump the brakes for a moment and let's really explore this, what you are looking to get And are you prepared to do it? So even when I got my hair, and I had a big issue with letting someone do my own hair because I thought that I could do it. I was like, I'm already got naturally beautiful hair care side hustle. I already know what I'm doing. And but there was no option. So I was kind of like, you don't have an option. You gotta let someone do it. And you gotta drop $800 back in 2007 when I put my deposit down. And I was like, well, I'm gonna do it. And I had to really like be a client. And it was a little unsettling for me because I thought that I could do, but it was one of the best decisions I made. And then investing a year later or a few months later into getting formally trained, because it was like, I didn't have a lot of the problems that some people are experiencing. I also was trained to be able to handle in other people. So 50% of my first 2 years client load were other people coming in for repair just from professionals. So now I get a lot of DIY. And some people love, are like, they're cool with it. They like their hair. A lot of people are newer though. I haven't really seen a DIYer that's had their hair in for over 5 years. I could just be like a DIYer that like just all pulled from online. I could be wrong. I think there's people that I actually trained someone to self-install. I used to train on self-installations, but that's different than a DIY person who's kind of trying to figure out, and they're pulling off some sources or maybe sometimes following other DIYers. Ultimately, sometimes we think things are just hair, but if your goal is to have something a certain way, I think some people are getting a little stressed out because they're not getting the results that they want, or they're not sure how to fix it. So it sounds, oh, that's from the past. So I wanted to address that. I looked at my other video, and I was like, oh, it sounds all nice, Jessica, but I hold my tongue back a lot because sometimes I feel like people are sensitive about their hair. People are sensitive about being able to do what they like with it. And I know I am too. Like, don't tell me what I cannot do. But I also want to be real and help people really fully understand before they make an endeavor or have to scramble around or find someone to fix or invest a lot of money. Because if that were me and I was in that position, I think I would have been very upset. And I always want to give people great experiences and just be real about what they're doing. So I'm going to bring on Angelica. Angelica, can you, I gave you a link in your email. Can you please check that link and you'll get access to come on? I want you to share your experience. While we're doing that, there's a couple of things that, some tips. So if you're like really frustrated with having your Microlocs or small locks and you really want some help, then I can give you some information and some tips from a general perspective. I do train people formally. I do have a system I created that I'm very humble about. I don't know why people are like, you don't say who you are. I have Microloc Mastery I created and a lot of Microloc branding for many, many years. I've not been fully public. I don't have the pages of 5 million followers, but I talk about quality and I make sure you get what you want and you get quality information from the source. So hopefully sharing the wait. What? Okay, you're in the waiting room. And so I'm going to bring on into this convo. I lost the group again, y'all. I lost the group. What is happening with my Facebook? Well, you know what? I'm going to continue and I will record this and the group is going to have to get the recording. This really sucks though, because I really wanted the group to get this information. Let me just let the group know that I'm having issue, and then we're going to go ahead and continue the broadcast. Darn it. Okay, join on Facebook or Microloc Mastery, Facebook. Sorry, guys. I'm just I'm gonna make this announcement. Okay. Can you hear me anywhere else? I think I might have lost all the connections now that I think about it. Where are you watching from, Angelica? Yeah, I'm having issues. I think it's my connection. Shoot. This is annoying. I know what I can. Well, Angelica won't be seen. If I try to go live on here, let me just go live on here. Okay. I'm Angelica. I'm having some issues. Hey guys, I'm having issue broadcasting to the group. So I am also having some issue even finding where you are, love, because you're not here. And so anyway, if you'd like to join, you can join on the other platforms. I'm not going to do this again. Sorry. All right. Honey, I don't know. I'm really having an issue. Let me give you the email and to have you come in. Knows I'm not seeing you. All right, y'all. I think I might have to save this discussion if we can't get it working. While Angelica, check your email. While you're checking your email, I'm gonna have to edit the mess out of this video because I'm all over the place. It just keeps knocking out the group. But basically, there's some common problems that DIYers having. First, the goal is not matching what they're experiencing. They wanted refined locks. They wanted neat locks. They're having various issues with sizing, with tension, with the consistency. And those are skills that even professionals need to master. So being realistic before you do the endeavor about, if I know I didn't want to show up to work. I worked with children too. I couldn't go to work with my hair looking crazy. Even when it looked good, they were ready to crack jokes. And I was working in Brooklyn in a middle school, and they were ready to crack jokes on anything. But even if I was working around adults, I didn't want to be in positions where it was like somebody would be like, No, you have small locks and a uniform and they're neat. They might just be like, oh, that's different. But when it's comes down to quality, or if they're actually hanging off or falling out or, really weird, that's, it doesn't, you don't feel as confident. So you gotta think about what's your standard, really. And for me, a person that always was in my hair trying to make it look good, I knew that I wanted it done, even if by a professional, that they had to be good. So thinking about just what looks easy on the outside. Oh, I can have some braids. I can go to a braid salon, get someone to do some braids. And then when you don't understand the process of how hair locks and how it even locks in that cylindrical form. So, and I could see a spectrum of skill even when I look at other people's hair. And it's not judging. My eye is like that. So I'll say, oh, or even when it's a professional and I get a transfer, I can say, oh, they were good, but they didn't really know how to do repair, or they didn't, the tension was a little off. So that's why their hair's fluffing out a bit more. And when you go in and refine it, the hair actually can lock tighter than what it had been locking, or they left too much hair out. A lot of issues come up, especially when you don't get the repair and you can't see what's going on. I couldn't even handle doing repair on my back. I would have to go either to someone I trained or to my mentor and say, can you go ahead and just make sure everything is good? Because I can't even see, even if I think I can feel, the best self-repair I could do would be what I would be able to see, what I'd be able to actually physically handle. And repair tech, doing repair and refinement is a level up to getting that refined look. Again, if that doesn't matter for you, this conversation is not for you. But if it matters also for the strength and the integrity, knowing how to do these things. Now I see my girl. I'm going to bring her on. So I'm going to add you to the screen now, Angelica.
Okay.
Hey.
Hello. Hi.
So, hi. We're going to record this for the group. It's a problem broadcasting to the group, but it broadcasts. Where were you able to watch it on?
Well, I'm watching it on Facebook on my phone, and then I'm on the computer, and I was in the waiting room for StreamYard, but the new link it got us connected.
Okay, but I think it's showing on Microlocs page and it's showing on Microloc Mastery, but it's not showing in the training group.
No,
So
well,
I'm glad
no,
you were
it's
able to.
not showing on the training group.
Oh man, so I'll have to go in and figure that out. But I still want to continue with this conversation. People in the training group are particularly interested in this because they're getting in the group, and a lot of people are DIYers. And you've done DIYers, but can you DIY job yourself? So can you explain why you did it? What that was like for you?
Okay, so my experience in particular with my DIY locks, I wanted a particular brand and I was, saving up for it and I was so excited. And one day I had a date night and I decided, well, let me go to a Dominican salon and get a blowout. The one that I usually go to was closed and I decided to go to another one. And long story short, they snuck a perm in my hair and didn't wash it out. So for like 2 weeks, my hair was falling out in clumps. It was horrible until I went to go seek a professional that knew my hair. And the stylist that was washing it just stopped and walked away. And the manager came and she overlooked it. We put the neutralizing shampoo in and we discovered that it was still perm and like just sitting in my hair.
Oh my gosh.
So my Microlocs was out of the question. So I decided, well, let me just box braid my hair every month until it gets to a nice length and I could grow out this perm. I decided to cut it, and then I said I'm not going to keep taking out these braids every month and keep up with that process. So let me just interlock it. I want locks anyway, so that's how I ended up with my DIY locks, and I maintained them myself with the interlocking method. So now I'm 2 years in, and before I became a professional and got proper training, I thought that I was doing everything right. YouTube University, and there's this famous motto like, trust the process. And that slogan is thrown out a lot. And what we have to remember is when it comes to taking advice online, a lot of these people are just learning just like we are. And we can't take everything that they say to face. So while I was trusting the process and listening to everyone's opinion, I'm thinking, oh, is this supposed to look like this? Okay, let me just trust the process and let it keep growing out, and eventually it will look like locks. But now that I'm properly trained, I know that trusting the process was bunching. It was slippage, holes in my locks. It wasn't just going to go away over time. I have a lot of different sizes, a lot of different things. I lost a lot of length because I stuck to this motto of trust the process. And when you make an investment like this, you really want to know that you're doing the right thing, because you don't want to be further down the line like myself removing locks because you know like it's not supposed to be like this. You want your investment to last and you want it to look good. So proper care, proper education, proper training, whatever the case may be, whether you're doing DIY or you're going for someone else, you want to reference back and get support to what you're hearing online and all of the advice that you're getting.
Yeah. Yeah. So ultimately, what have you decided about your hair and how did you handle the issues you're having?
Well, I decided that even though I enjoyed them, but they're not right. And, I don't want to keep going through this process of keep looking at my hair and be like, oh, this is not what it's supposed to be. Now that I have my own clients and I see how beautiful their locks are flourishing and how nice their grid looks, I can see the faults every time I go into my head now.
Mhm.
So I've decided that, you know what, I'm going to take my locks down and I'm going to do them over, and I'm going to do them over properly with the proper care that I needed from the beginning. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. It's just, it's hard that you'd have to go through that process and deal with, for 2 years, kind of not being fully happy about it. But the expectations that you had going in, what was something that you definitely got eye opener about, that you didn't expect about the process, that you thought wasn't going to be an issue?
well, actually, I thought the grid wasn't going to be an issue for me.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I didn't really pay attention to like lock sizing and stuff. And so, because I didn't do that and I was just like kind of parting however I wanted to part, I now have like three different levels of volume. And I'm not a person for length, I'm a person for volume. So, up here, it's just a little bit left, but you can see it still looks so full. And then when I
Mm-hmm.
got to the middle, it kind of was like nothing there because I had like these large locks, and then I had medium, and it was like a little bit full again, so it kind of looked like a mullet in the back.
Oh
So I
my
had this
gosh.
big fro in the front, and then it just kind of like dropped flat. And that was with a braid out, that was with curls, and I just wasn't happy. Like looking forward, I'd be like, oh, look at this big voluminous here. And when I turned to the side, it kind of like dwindled down, like, oh, okay, what happened there?
Okay.
So I learned from training that grids does matter. If you want your hair to lay a certain way, you have to part the hair a certain way. If you want it to look a certain way, you need to have a uniformity. You want to have the same size locks. You don't want to have small locks because then I have a big fro, and then I have medium and it's small.
Yeah.
So just that inconsistency, I wasn't really happy with it. So now I know going forward, okay, this is my plan. Like I kind of gave myself a consultation.
Mm-hmm.
Here's how your hair is. You already have hair. This is how you would get the look overall
Mm-hmm.
because I have
Yeah,
the training. So now I
because
can
you're one
go
of our students.
yes, I am. So I
Make
can
it like
go
this.
in knowing what I want and
Mhm.
knowing what the end result will be.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing that, because I know that's not hard. That's not easy to tell, to share that I've done this and I wasn't happy with it. Um, and being very transparent. So appreciate that. And we welcome you as a part of Microloc Mastery, and also as
Yes,
a part for helping to provide services for naturally beautiful hair care with all your wealth of knowledge that you have already, and then combining that. So what I want to do is, because I originally wanted to do this in the private Facebook group,
yes.
which I'll put a link in the description of these videos, and then people can join us there. I want to spend about 10 minutes or so just in the main group, and because it keeps shutting us off, I'm trying to broadcast to too many places. And so now I'm not everywhere. I'm not in the group. So I want them to get this nuggets, and me. You actually do have some comments here. I do. Let me just see the comment really quick.
Okay, I can
Hi,
look
some
at.
consider having braid extensions done and then using them to start locks. You want to also suggestions on finding a good salon. Okay. All right. So let me just address that before I switch off. And then Amber, you can join us in let me go back to your original question, in the Facebook group, which I'll invite you to. So if you first, starting with braids is one thing, but then starting with braids extensions is another thing. Extension hair that is braided is not going to lock the same way as your own hair would lock. First, because it's added hair, and we don't know if it's human or synthetic. Secondly, we don't know the texture of the hair. Third, it's in a braid pattern, and it's not gonna resemble what you're going to be retightening when you are doing your hair. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. You're gonna look like you have braids and then fuzzy locked, matted, hair that you're either probably going to interlock. Most people do that, or I don't know how you're going to maintain that. So, it's going to look like you have braids that you've left in
Yes.
for a long time. And I used to leave because I was micro braid queen before. That's why I wanted to get these small locks, because I wanted that look. But I started out with 4 inches of hair. There was no options for extensions done anywhere. So I started with my own hair. It wasn't an option. It wasn't a factor for what was being done at that time to start with any, locks this way with extensions. It's probably a concept people are talking about now, because now they're hearing micro lock extensions or small extensions, but it wasn't a concept and it really isn't a viable option. Again, I can't tell you what to do, but as far as if you want to look like the locks that you're probably seeing, you're better off either starting it with someone who's highly skilled and trained in doing micro lock extensions, which is a concept that I created. I had to stop being so humble about this in 2009. There are people that do it all different ways now, and I'm actually correcting someone's hair tomorrow who got some. You got to be very careful about that, or start with your own hair, have some patience, and you'll get what you want. That'll be the
Definitely.
best.
Definitely.
Because I started with, and I have thin hair, and I started with 4 inches, and now this is all my hair. I mean, it's years later, but I mean, there's nothing that I think would have given me happier results than my own hair doing it. So so you said it's human hair. Okay. As far as the suggestion, so I do have a directory of people that I train in starting Microlocs. So we are building up this directory, and there's some people that need to be on there that I'm going to take it too long to get on there. But Angelica is one of the people on there as well. It depends on where you live. So it's microlocdirectory.com. And I'm seeing if I can put that on a banner. I don't have a banner for that. But if I want you to join the group, if you're interested, I have a free group on Facebook, and you can join the group here by going to that link. And I put posts and links about resources in there as well. And I also share the information on locticians. And a lot of the graduates and the certified Microloc Mastery certified people are in that group. And then we have our own separate group. But there are many people in that group that can support you if you like, as well as myself. Okay, so I wasn't sure. Hopefully that's helpful. I don't want to discourage you. I just wanted to be real. I don't want you to invest time and money and have it not be what you want.
Yes. And I could say almost all of my clients, or clients that most of them that start this way, usually ends up cutting them off.
Yeah.
Because of that transition. It doesn't flow right. You got to think, like when you get box braids and your hair starts to grow out. You ever seen somebody that have all this new growth in their box braids? The box braids would still look like a box braid, right? And the hair like would kind of mat up and stuff.
Yes.
You're going to clip that hair of that braid will never lock. It will always remain in the braid pattern.
Yep.
And no one likes that look. No one likes that
and
look.
You know how braids look when they get ashy looking, dusty.
And then if you think, well, maybe I could wrap it to cover it to make it look like a lock, then what happens now is you're adding all this weight on your hair, which is going to cause thinning and alopecia and all these problems that you want to avoid. Yeah. So I just tell people, just be a little patient.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, y'all might be sick of me being a social worker. I'm a licensed social worker. I go into the psyche a little bit about it, because I went through a whole like breakdown to be natural. I was like, oh my God, I'm ugly. I ain't got no hair. And when I wanted to any style I wanted, I was always thinking about a finished look. Like, oh man. And if extensions were an option, then I'll be, give me extensions. But I was forced to be patient, and it was the payoff was huge. Even at its shorter stages, it was getting more volume. As you know, Angelica, our hair is not shedding. It's not doing the same thing it did loose natural. You're going to start to see your retention of your growth. Yeah. As long as you're healthy, your scalp is healthy, your hair is going to grow. And
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I just remembered, how could I had forgotten this? Years ago, I actually had this experience where I got Microloc extensions. And I wish I would have a picture. I could find a picture. I'll post it up to the page. And I had it in for about 6 months. Or maybe
Mhm.
this was about 4 years ago. I had it in
Wow.
6 months. They were beautiful. Don't
Oh.
get me wrong. They were beautiful locks. But I didn't, I took them right out 6 months later because I didn't like the characteristics of it.
Mhm.
It was human hair, but it didn't react the way our hair reacted. So, like, let's say when I have my locks, I can do a wash and go or get a puffy look or kind of achieve this look that I want. With that hair, it just laid there. I had to do so much manipulation to get it to actually to look like the way the styles that I wanted. I couldn't do like a little twist real quick and wet it, and by the time it was dry, I have that natural curl. I had to
Not to
set
sound
it for
arrogant, but
days.
my extensions do that because I've worked what? How many years in develop? 12 years in develop. But yeah, I can curl those things. It looks just there. But
Yeah,
yeah,
of
it's
course you
cool
would
not
want
to.
to go to a
Mhm.
professional, but it was for me, it was an investment that was wasted
Yeah.
because I wasn't happy at all. I started like when I would get hot, I would get like reactions and
Oh
everything.
wow.
Yeah, so I wasn't happy with the overall, even though it looked nice, it just didn't have that effects of the natural hair of what I was getting locks for. Kind of
Okay.
just like hung for me, but that was my own experience.
Okay. And so sometimes what can look good visually is not practical or it doesn't have the
Right,
longevity or the flexibility. So
right.
and so that's where pictures are deceiving because there are people that and you're like, whoa, I'm almost like, oh, and then these are people like, yeah, well, I'm here for a reason because they didn't, the pictures always look great. But we're
Right.
back on real quick to DIY, and then I'm gonna hop in the group and then I gotta go get my baby girl. Oh man. I don't know if I had time to hop in the group. Um Nah, DIY. Oh yeah, we're also talking about the longevity even for the DIY. And we're, some I don't know. I'm not all I stay focused on what I'm doing. So I'm not all out there for a reason to look at it, but I do things come across my way. I've never seen a DIY project, a DIY that's but for a longer period of time than a few years, so we can see really how it's evolved without not someone I don't know. I don't maybe there are people that have gone to professionals eventually, but I'm just curious. I mean, it's just where's your that'll be the final question. Where's your feedback on that? What's your experience with that?
My experience with DIYers, I get a lot of DIYers and I get a lot of repair jobs. I get a lot of, and I wouldn't say it's all just knowledge, knowledge based. And a lot of time I hear, well, on Facebook or on YouTube, they told me to use this product or they told me to do this or they told me to do that. And now, I correct the issues, but I have to train them, so that moving forward, if we're going to fix this, you don't want to get something fixed and then go back to the same situation that you were doing that caused it to be like that. I get a lot of DIYers, and a lot of times they like, I didn't know. And what's great about your course is you could be a DIYer and still get the training to properly care for your locks. It's okay if you don't want to go to locks. Some people don't. Some people
Right.
don't like, you know, that outside interference of,
Mhm.
their being. So it's great that you offer this service because you can care for them properly
Yeah.
and not hear that famous lotto, trust the process. Oh, you got brunching, trust the process. Oh, it's looking all that extra frizz and stuff, trust the process.
Mhm.
No, you know.
No. And it's yeah,
And sometimes it becomes and then what I noticed that once it starts doing that, it becomes overwhelming for the person to a point that now they're not sure what to do, and then they
yeah.
think the option is to cut it,
Yeah.
So it's
I always say
always
like there's that sweet spot. There's that sweet spot where you can really get and do the most repair, the most refinement, and then there's the point where it's like
right,
once it's hard, that lock is hard. It's hard to insert any type of tool to go in there and close up
right,
the hair mats and um so yeah, if they're still spongy, if they're still soft, you can go
yes,
in and repair it. So I tell people, don't just think time is gonna make it go away.
okay, no,
You have to be proactive and set up if the foundation is done well. usually have less problems. You're in the prevention. But if you address it right away, then you have better results. I don't know if we're gonna have time to see the other group, but this is still a good convo. I hope that Amber joins us over in the group, and whoever else is watching, and who was not in the group joins us over there. We will definitely do another part to this
Yes.
because we had so many tech difficulties that I didn't realize and expect. I do appreciate people who did stick around to watch. If you're catching it now, you can catch the replay, but I will be ending this broadcast here on these pages. And what time is it? Kind of don't have enough. I don't know if I have enough time to go live in the group. I think I might just quickly go live in the group just to let everyone know we were here, and then we'll download the recording. Thank you guys so much. Angelica, just stay right there.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.